the government hopes to earn from divestments this year is the highest at least since 2008-9.
Well, an hour to go for the Finance Minister to present his last full budget in the Parliament today, and the markets are currently trading at day's high. Good morning, you're watching Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service, and I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. It's a big day. I'm Agam Akil. The top headlines at this hour. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will present his fifth union budget just in an hour from now. In Indian markets trade on a positive note. Sensex rises over 100 points and the Nifty trades well above 11,050. India Wix surges. And open interest in escorts and Pidilite surges after traders take fresh positions in their respective futures. And back home, automakers are expected to post another healthy growth with respect to volumes in January, which will be out today.
Well, before we tell you what's happening in the futures and options market, let's tell you first what are the equity markets factoring in for the budget and how have the Indian equities performed in the lead up and after the past in the past few budgets. In fact, Neeraj joins us with those trends. Neeraj, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Navneet. Yeah, so just a brief data summary out here. Just try to tell our viewers what the build-up to the budget the last few years has been. And as your screen tells you, it's been flattish for the 3 years preceding the last two. In fact, Feb 16, the 2016 budget, there was a sharp dip. The first rumors of LTCG, global markets not all that positive. A sharp dip, there are a lot of short positions, and keep this year in mind. I'll tell you why later. 2017 and the current year, there has been an approach to the budget which has been fairly strong. Now, even for the Nifty Infra, I've chosen that index because usually other indices may or may not find mention, but Infra always finds a mention. And look at what Infra has done. In the run-up, up, down, rather down, up, down, up, down. But the interesting picture is what happens to the markets, the Nifty and the Nifty Infra, post-budget. And here's where the picture gets very interesting. Look at the Nifty returns now, post-budget, for the last 5 years. Green on almost all counts, of course have 4 because the fifth reaction will be known now, but green on almost all of those. You can argue that the previous 2 years, the 1%, 0.5% is not really the kind of return that you would want. But by and large, there has not been a negative reaction post-budget. In fact, 10 of the last 14 budgets, the 1 month return has been positive. The big building that you're seeing in Feb 2016 is a result of a short covering led rally when no mention of LTCG was done in the market. It sold off in the run-up, and that's why that big bump up. And similarly, if you look at the Nifty Infra 2, 2016 will show a really big bump up. But the key thing is, infrastructure for the last 4 years, the last 5 years actually, has always given a positive return. So keep in mind, infra finds a mention. There's some bit of green shoots that come in for all of those, and therefore people tend to like it. What's to be watched out for is what markets will like, what markets will not like. Very quick summary, I think we've kind of had all of these before as well. But if FY19 fiscal deficit target is greater than 2%, then the markets will not like it. Less than 3.2%, then the markets will definitely like it. What else? I think something that should be kept at the top of your mind, reintroduction of the LTCG tax. Definitely, if it's coming back, markets will not like it. Arguably, the single biggest equity market factor would be the LTCG, maybe more important than the fisc as well. Last but not the least, any kind of excessive populism. I think people have going into the budget with a notion that there will be some bit of populism. You probably have to do that in a pre-election year, but excessive populism is something that the markets will not like. And therefore, what the markets will like, I think, is simple opposite of what will happen. Fiscal prudence, of course, the markets will like it. No LTCG, or even if there is just a bit of a tinkering from 12 to 24 months, it's something that the markets will probably not mind. Of course, if nothing happens, then the markets definitely like it. And as we said, I mean, if there is no excessive populism, a corporate tax cut, if it comes in, then that's something that should please stocks and therefore the equity markets by and large. So there's some in substance, really, a lot more beyond, but this is what the headline picture should be looking like.
Thanks for that, Neeraj, for bringing all the expectations from the Union Budget 2018. And as we speak, as Neeraj was talking about the infrastructure space, we've got the Nifty Realty Index, which is your top sectoral gainer. It's trading with gains of nearly 1% at the moment. Let's now tell you how the F&O setup, how's the F&O setup currently looking like. It's been a positive start, in fact, for the benchmark indices. Nifty, Bank Nifty, both of them have been firmly trading in the green after seeing that blip of red post the opening session. But look at the India Volatility Index. You will expect more of volatility through the course of the day today. The India VIX, if you look at the level currently, it's at 15.8. And if you look at the opening low level, it was at about 14.1. Let me tell you, we've seen a lot of cool off when it comes to the India VIX in the last 2 to 3 sessions. But a level of 15.8, 16, 16 and a half, it still remains on an elevated side. So definitely, if there is no negative surprise, and that would be no tinkering with LTCG, be it with the tenure or levying the tax, probably you could see more cool off when it comes to the volatility index. Besides that, what's the level that one should watch out in today's session? There is a strong support at the 11,000 mark for Nifty, so do watch out for that mark on the downside. In fact, if you look at the maximum OI concentration, the range is pretty wide. It's the 10,500 put, and on the upside, it is the 11,500 call. So that's telling you there could be a lot of volatility. The range is pretty wide, how the traders are positioning themselves. But let me tell you, in the lead up to the budget, the traders were very, very cautious. We've seen a lot of profit booking in the last 3 to 4 sessions. No major build-up was seen, especially on Nifty, Bank Nifty. Remember, these are the 2 major indices in the future side where maximum trading happens on daily basis. But in the last few sessions, no fresh positions were built up here. When it comes to Bank Nifty, that too will be in focus. Let's see if there is any sort of announcement with regard to the PSU banking side. But if you look at the levels there also, it's a range of 1,000 we're working with. 27,000 put has maximum OI concentration, and it is a 28,000 call on the upside. But Agam, we've been talking about the institutions. Well, they've positioned themselves quite smartly. The rally which we saw in the month of January, definitely there was a lot of money which came from the FIs into the cash segment. But in the last 3 to 4 sessions, the FIs, they've been protecting their cash portfolios by buying a lot of protection via the put longs.
Right, and as one might have it, at least in the domestic market too, a lot of these traders have, unwound their positions, which was apparent to a certain extent partially in the Nifty even futures. But moving ahead and taking stock of what's happening in stock futures, there's one stock that stands out, and that's S-Quartz, because after 3 days of weakness, we are looking at a substantial surge in open interest. The underlying has moved up by as much as nearly 5%. There's a near 13% increase in open interest towards fresh longs. Other than that, there are a bunch of other stocks which are looking at a substantial increase in open interest, but not too much to speak for when it comes to the change in its underlying. So you have the likes of Pidilite, Torrent Power, V-Guard. All of these stocks are gaining well over 5 to 6% in terms of open interest. Declines, however, so some shorts building in there, and that's followed by CEAT. Absolutely no change in its underlying, but good 5.5% increase in OI. Let's take a look at the list of all the stocks which are looking at unwinding. So that's with Fortis Healthcare, which moved into the F&O ban yesterday, Dalmia Bharat, Axis Bank, Gen Irrigation, along with PVR. Fortis Healthcare is the only one that stands out there, and that is also largely on account of the fact that it moved into the F&O ban yesterday. So some amount of unwinding is, I suppose, natural. But on the whole, we'll be watching out for plenty of the economy-facing stocks in today's day of trade, Navneet.
That's right, and L&T is on top of the list, Agam, after posting stellar set of numbers. That counter has gained almost 3% in today's session. In fact, good set of numbers, good order book was posted by L&T. The futures right now, they are trading at a premium of almost 2 rupees. All right, before we get our guest in the show, here's a reminder for you all. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, with AskBQ hashtag. Well, let's welcome our F&O experts for the day then. Gaurav Bisa of LKP Securities and Chandan Taparia of Motilal Oswal Securities joins us on the show. Good morning to both of you gentlemen, and appreciate you joining us today on Bloomberg Quinn. Gaurav, let me come to you first. How's the positioning looking like? Because in the last 3 sessions, traders have been quite wary. We've not seen any fresh build-up on Nifty or Bank Nifty. In fact, if you look at the total positioning also, there are not enough shorts which are there in the system. So let's say if there is no negative news which comes from the budget, at least it won't be a short covering rally that one can see today.
Good morning. Pleasure quite correctly. There has not been significant writing as far as the options are concerned as well. We have seen the IVs have spiked up. Yesterday also we saw that towards the end of trading session there was an incremental spike that we saw in the IVs. That is something that one needs to take cognizance of, because people were generally discounting that there will not be too much of surprises. But the kind of spike that we saw in the IVs towards the last half hour of trading session, I think there can be some surprises that one can now expect. I'm not seeing IVs dwindling down even now, so there's a possibility we may see a wild swing coming off 150, 200 points at least on 200, 300 points coming in Bank Nifty at least. On Nifty, 100, 150 points spike cannot be ruled out. Having said that, the immediate supports are seen at 10,080, 11,000 levels. That has been held quite firmly. So the bias would be bullish. We have not seen short positions getting built. So the previous positions that are still in the system, they are the one that will decide the fate of the market. So we have seen long positions getting built previous series, decent amount of long rollovers, now absence of short positions. So there is a possibility, if there's nothing negative that comes into the market, we can see some spike coming in the Bank Nifty and Nifty index.
All right, there you have it, guys. It's crucial to remember that should we not see anything substantial in the Union budget, a spike of about 100 points cannot be ruled out. Chandan, good morning to you as well. Considering the underlying variables, how are you reading the benchmark indices movement and in terms of positioning with the traders?
Yeah, India VIX has been falling down from last 3 to 4 trading sessions, even after being in event. It has corrected from 18.5 to 15.5 kind of level. So volatility could be there, but not expecting major move as of now. Bias would remain positive because market has taken support near to 10,980 zone. That is likely to act as an immediate support. If market fails to hold the same, then only the bias could change and we may see for some correction. Otherwise, holding above the 11,111 may take the market towards 11,250 kind of level. So those who are looking to play with the positive bias can trade with 11,100 call by putting a stop loss of 125 for an upside target towards 180, 185 kind of level. However, volatility could be seen as per the comment of the Union budget, but till it holds the 10,980, will continue to be with the bullish bias of the market.
All right, Chandan has already given his option strategy for the day. He's saying buy Nifty 11,100 call strike with the target price of 180, and don't forget to keep that stop loss of 125. And Gaurav, the momentum has not changed. No matter there was profit booking in the last 3 to 4 sessions, we've not seen any of the derivatives analysts or technical analysts saying, okay, go short on Nifty, go short on Bank Nifty right now. So we're still getting buy calls in the index.
Well, ahead of the event, it is not advisable to be either long or short aggressively. And we have seen that in last 2 or 3 series, generally we have not been able to capture a significant downfall. There has been a downfall of 100 points or so, but then that has then been bought into and we have seen new highs being made. So the trend is strong and it is futile to swim against the tide. So right now the movement is quite strong. In absence of any data that shows that there is some sort of unwinding, stock specific unwinding there has been there. Mid caps have corrected 10-15%, but overall there's nothing negative that is coming to the index. Unless we don't see that, I would not be playing for a short. Rather, I would wait for a dip and then a buy, whether it's Nifty or Bank Nifty. It's
you have a buy call on the 11,350.
Yeah, I have a buy call 11,350. For the reason that I have given a 300 point away call option is the reason that IVs are still too high. They have seen small dip, but the prices are still too high. And if the event gets turned over, there's a possibility that IVs will drop down much further.
Right.
In that case, even if you buy 11,200, 11,250 call option, a nearby call option, you will lose on the erosion of IVs. So 11,350 call option for target of 80, 85, stop loss of 30. I think that's a good proposition.
All right. Gaurav, again, much will be said about the banking sector. You've already addressed the Nifty Bank, but in terms of counters, banking counters, is there anything that you're keeping an eye on?
For momentum play, I think IndusInd Bank looks good. If you look at the kind of data, it's not seen good amount of correction, rather some amount of long positions in getting built. On a very technical part, there's a gap that is about to be filled in the name. So a 2% up move intraday basis cannot be ruled out. If it sustains and closes above 1800, 1810, then even likes of 1850, 1860 for next 3-4 days cannot be ruled out. So among the private space, IndusInd Bank looks a little bit robust.
Okay, and the other stock futures which have been active, a lot of result reaction has been seen in today's session. L&T is the one I'm talking about. Remember, the economy facing stock, and for the longest time in the last year or so, the stock has been languishing. But last 2 quarters, I guess, with regard to the earnings, they've not disappointed the street. And finally, we've seen some upgrades also coming up for L&T. Today also, it's trading with gains of 3%. Chandan, if I can come to you at 1464 on the L&T February futures, would you take any fresh bet?
Yeah, we have continued. We are having the long position in the L&T from 1270 kind of level, expecting it to head towards 1525 kind of levels on positional basis. However, it is really do well. Longs are intact, or in fact, I have observed the put writing activity in the counter as well at 1400 strike. So overall, longs are intact. The trend and setup is continuously positive. So those who are holding, I'll suggest to continue to be with the position by keeping the trailing stop loss of 1420, and stock is still potential to move by 4 to 5% on higher side.
All right, we'll also be having the auto sales coming in through, and well, one of them is actually looking at a lot of traction right now in today's day of trade, and that's escorts, because we've seen a surge of nearly 13.5% in today's day of trade, along with the fact that its underlying has also moved up by as much as nearly 5%. There you have it.
This is after they posted good set of numbers yesterday, and today
earnings,
the
yes.
January sales numbers have been pretty
will also
healthy.
be out.
No,
Absolutely.
I think it's out and it's been pretty healthy. At least
okay.
for the agri machinery side, I think
right.
the total number of units were 5,316, which they sold.
Right, so there you have it. That's the reason why we are looking at that surge in the stock. Gaurav, again, would you initiate longs at these levels for escorts?
I would be a buyer. Thing is that it's given a good breakout. We have been seeing good amount of long positions getting built. A small amount of unwinding resulted in some sort of dip in the name, but overall the structure is good, the data is good. So I think there's no reason that one should be quite negative in the name. I would be a buyer. I will have a stop loss of 840, 842.
Right.
So stop loss might be a little bit deep, 842, 840. On the upside, it can test levels of 870, 875.
Well, all eyes will also be on the infra and the realty space, since there is a lot of thrust on the affordable housing and what sort of allocation this time goes to the roads as well as railways. And ahead of that, we've already highlighted to you that the Nifty Realty Index is trading with gains of 1%. Let me just highlight a couple of the stocks which are there in the futures and options market among that. So you've got stocks like HCC, NCC, GMR Infra currently, which are trading in the green. And Godrej Properties, mild bit of uptick there. That counter is trading with just about with gains of 0.5%. Chandan, in this pack, is there any stock on the chart which is looking good where you would go ahead and take a fresh long position?
We don't have coverage on selective infra counter which you mentioned, but I'll focus on L&T, IRB Infra, which are the combination of infra and other sector as well. So IRB, I think, can be the good bet. However, it has been consolidating, but decline is being bought. So if it corrects, then I think one can take with a stop loss of 233, and stock has potential to again hit the recent high of 253 and 260 zone. So we'll watch on IRB Infra rather than commenting on other counters.
All right, with that, we'll move across to our experts to take what they're recommending in today's day of trade. And Chandal, I'll come back to you. So you have a long on HDFC futures and a long on M&M futures.
Yes, we are positive on the selective private banks counter and NBFC stocks. So selected to go long on SDFC Limited. Longs are intake. The supports are continuously shifting high. Earlier it was finding hurdle near to 1990 zone, and now that is working as a support. So supports are turning, resistance are turning as a support. So there is potential to extend the rally going forward. Just couple of days back, it has given the consolidation breakout from its long channel pattern. So still expecting the price move towards 2020. One can buy with a stop loss of 1927 level. Second trade is Mahindra & Mahindra. I think the stock has given a major price breakout. It has surpassed its falling supply trend line and also forming a small triangle pattern on the daily chart. Longs are heading, and after a long consolidation, the stock is at this verge of fresh lifetime highs. So momentum could be seen here, and any positive or favorable outcome in the budget can even boost the price sentiment to the counter. So looking for an upside target towards 805, one can buy with a stop loss of 762.
Okay, so those are the two long calls from Chandan. One is on HDFC, the other is on M&M. And M&M seems to be a consensus buy for the day. Gaurav, that stock features in your list too.
Well, yes, Chandan has put it very beautifully, so there's not much for me to add. But yes, if it's giving a breakout on the weekly charts as well, so if it closes above 780 by Friday, then I think 7-8%, 10% up move cannot be ruled out. The positions are quite strong, and I think the kind of momentum it can carry with the same stop loss of 760, 810 would be the immediate targets for a day or two. And if that is sustained, I think it can start a good uptrend in coming days.
All right. Well, so we'll move on and address one more active stock counter, and that is Pidilite, because we're seeing some amount of weakness in Pidilite. We've seen about a good 6.5–7% addition in terms of open interest. So on the whole, we're looking at some amount of weakness, but not too much to speak for. It's currently trading at around 885. Chandan, if I can take this one to you, do you see any view on Pidilite right now?
See, Pidlet has been just consolidating. However, some selling was observed at higher levels, but from last 4 to 5 weeks, it is just consolidating with multiple support of 870 in the support level. So if it breaks 870, then only I can see some weakness which may take it to 845, 840. But no aggressive shorts are being built in the counter. It is continuously respecting to its 50-day exponential moving average. But yes, if it goes below 870, then one can put a stop loss of 892 for short position.
Some of your IT counters are doing well. TCS is up almost 2%. Remember, that's a heavyweight. The other heavyweight which will be in focus today are the likes of ITC. That's also trading in the positive territory. Gaurav, I can come to you on ITC. That stock's been languishing in that range for the last, I guess, 6 months or so. Let's say if there is no negative news which comes about with regard to additional government cess or additional excise duty, which so far has been subsumed in GST, what sort of an upside can this stock see?
On the upside, we can test close of 290. That is what we are also hoping for. The place where we got wrong was the timing. We were expecting 290 to come in the previous series. It took a lot of time. Ahead of event, if somebody wants to buy, buying a future would not be the right way because it will have some sort of influence on the budget. But one can buy a 280 call option. I think that can be a good strategy going ahead into the event.
All right. I do want to address the Bank Nifty. If we can pull up the Bank Nifty and see what's doing right now, take a look at, there you have it. So we're looking at about a 2.5% increase in open interest, and the Nifty Bank, about a 0.5% gain in terms of its underlying. It's trading with a premium of around 33 points, currently trading at 27,530. So Chandan, we already have Gaurav's view, but I'd also like your view on the Nifty Bank and how you are, seeing underlying variables develop for this futures.
Yeah, Gaurav already mentioned about the positive bias of the Bank Nifty, and he has good grip on the Bank Nifty as well. It is holding about 27,250 zone. So till it holds about the same, we are expecting this rally to extend to us 27,750, 28,000. However, no major call and put writing is visible. That indicates that indecisive move as of now. But comparatively, the Bank Nifty is having better structure. We have seen some put writing at 27,000, and that's why the Bank Nifty index yesterday managed to hold 27,100, 10, 15 kind of level and bounce back smartly to 27,450 level. And in last 6 to 7 trading session, we have seen some decline in the Nifty, but Bank Nifty is continuously holding the gains and finding buying interest at every small decline. So structure is quite positive in the Bank Nifty, and selective banking counter like HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, Kotak Bank are set to give the fresh breakout. So that's why till it holds about 27,250, I'll continue to be with the positive in the Bank Nifty index.
Right, and a lot of contribution is also being seen for ICICI Bank. Remember, at the opening level, it opened with cuts of 1.5 to 2%, but there's been a good recovery when it comes to ICICI Bank on intraday basis. The intraday chart, if that can come up on your screen, that will tell you. Remember, the numbers came in yesterday. There was a good improvement that was seen with regard to asset quality, and currently the stock's now trading in the green with gains of 0.5%. So it had a gap down opening, but good recovery, good buying seen at those lower levels. Well, on that note, Chandan as well as Gaurav, we would like to thank both of you for coming on our show and giving us your views in the derivatives market and also a couple of the trading strategies. Both of you have a good trading day, but we'll move ahead. Since it's the budget day, it's a good time to hear out what some of the global fund houses are expecting from the Union Budget 2018. Bloomberg spoke to Sonal Verma of Nomura, Siddharth Sanyal of Barclays, and Chetan Ahaya of Morgan Stanley. Listen in.
While the economy has progressed, it's not reached to all the poor people, particularly the rural India. And so the pressure is there on the government to do something that can actually make them feel that, okay, there is some progress shared with them too. So it's significant from that perspective in terms of whether the government is able to keep that fiscal balance in check.
On one hand, there is a need for supporting the economy when growth is just reviving. But at the same time, he cannot be relaxed about the hard-earned fiscal credibility over the last few years.
As far as this financial year is concerned, FY18, it has been a fairly weak year from a growth perspective, and tax revenues have taken a hit because of GST. So the expectation for FY18 is that they will miss the fiscal deficit target, and that will come at 3.5% versus the 3.2% of GDP that they projected. But if you take a forward-looking view, actually India is at the cusp of a cyclical recovery. Tax buoyancy is going to pick up. We think they'll do a lot of asset sales going forward.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of F&O Show, but there's lots more lined up today, so don't go anywhere and keep watching Bloomberg Quintet.
बढ़ते समय के साथ बढ़ती सुरक्षा का वादा। LIC की जीवन प्रगति।